subject today is preventing duplicates in Salesforce. With any database, I have personally been working with databases for many, many, many years, watching the iterations of the different programs like Access and all the other ones, even some of the bigger ones out there, ACT and SAP and the rest, and it's almost impossible to keep duplicates out of your database. We're going to be covering some of the issues that are caused by duplicates, as well as some of the ways to prevent duplicates from getting into your system, or if they are in, how to get them cleaned up and get them back out. So let's go ahead and move on here. So subjects today we're going to be covering is searching before creating. This should be like a golden rule for every user. Mass importing tips to reduce your duplicates, creating and using your own duplicate blocking solution, and some third-party app exchange solutions to block or clean up existing duplicates. So searching before creating. Like I said, it should be mandatory, a golden rule for all users able to create records, but it may not prevent all manually entered duplicates, due to possible security settings. If the security settings are set in a private sharing model, the user may not even know the duplicate exists, or a name or email may be spelled differently. Phil at HP or Phil at Hewlett-Packard. Those would probably create two different records because they wouldn't show up that easily. Find duplicates button on the lead page should also be used before working any leads. So we're going to just do a kind of a quick demo on this here. If we jump into Salesforce, and so say I want to create a new record, say William Smith. So what I'll do first is search, and if you're not using Chatter, then your search will be in the sidebar search on the side. Since I have Chatter enabled in this demo org, I'm doing the global search. So, if I'm going to be putting William Smith in, I probably don't want to actually do a search for William Smith because there's a possibility he may be listed as Bill, and he won't show up if I do a William. So if I just do a Smith search, and then we'll see what comes up. So show me later. I can go see that later. So here I see I got Frank Smith, I got Bill Smith, and Andy Smith. Well, I know William Smith works at Doors Incorporated, so he's already in here as Bill Smith. If William Smith maybe worked at a different company, maybe Universal Technologies or one or the other, then it would be pretty safe to add him. If I did a search for William Smith, then you'll notice that Bill Smith doesn't show up. Some people may go by different names. So you want to be careful about that. You want to keep your search as general as possible. You may end up getting quite a few more records than you need returned, but then you can start narrowing it down. But by searching and going for a big search first, or searching as much as you can first, and then narrowing it down, you will get a better return. And like I said, this may not be possible if the user cannot actually see other people's records due to your org-wide sharing settings. So that is one thing to be concerned about. It may be if you have that type of a situation where users can create records, but they're not allowed to possibly see other people's records, then you might want to look at using a third-party tool to help prevent duplicates from being manually entered, or a nice little solution that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit here. So with that, let's go ahead and jump over to the leads object. And on the leads object, let me see if I can find some people here that might be duplicates for us. Let's go with, let's see here. I think I've got a couple in here. Yeah, so we've got some Williams in here. So with the lead object, I've had a lot of people ask me about the Find Duplicates button on the lead and what it actually does. So when you've got a lead in the system, it's always a good idea to use this. What it does is it goes out and looks for these different criteria, and it sees if anybody exists. So if I do last name, put the last name in here, or maybe even the email domain, and now do a search, boy, look what I get. Well, that's a lot of it is because of the email domain, because, like I said, this is my demo org, so I'm seeing all these people with that email domain. But if I get rid of that and search, now it's going to show me anybody that has a matching lead, matching contact, matching account, and or matching opportunities. So from here, I could merge leads and turn these leads into one. And this is a standard merge functionality that accounts and contacts uses. I can also, if I had matching contacts, matching accounts, or opportunities, I would have the opportunity to convert this lead. So let's see if we can grab one here that actually has, let's see, if we go to Doors Incorporated, there we go, and find duplicates. So now I can go by, let's see, Doors Incorporated company name. I should actually see my Doors Incorporated. Why I'm not sure, unless I have a different name for Doors Incorporated on my, oh, there we go, Bill Smith. Ah, there's a comma in it. See, so we've got Doors, comma, Incorporated. We go back to our lead, check that with the comma, and Salesforce searching is kind of tricky that way. Well, we still should have our company come up. So we have our John Densmore lead. Why we don't have our Doors Incorporated? Let's go, let's go this way. Come back here. Every once in a while, Salesforce does trip me up, and so that's just part of, let's try that. There we go. So be careful of your names. Looks like case sensitive in here, but it will at the most, if you do have the information in, for the most part, will try to find as much as it can. And now it will give me the option to convert the lead and bring it over to this company without actually, I can associate it to the existing Doors Incorporated right there. So, and then I don't have to create a new opportunity. So now I've kept this lead's information and moved them over. If there was a contact involved as well with the same contact name, when I hit convert, it would bring up the option to merge with John Densmore, the contact, as well. Do we have any questions so far?
Yes, George, we have one question, which is, the question is there a duplicates report that could sort of monitor the number of duplicates and indicate that maintenance is needed?
There's no real report for that type of thing because you could run a report of, say, contacts or accounts or something like that and sort it alphabetically, but you would have to search by it. There's no real, there's no real way to run a report on duplicates because Salesforce doesn't really know it's a duplicate. You have to know it's a duplicate. Salesforce doesn't know that information. That's why a database will allow duplicates to be created. And so hopefully I answered that question for you.
Thank you. That was our only question.
All right. So let's go ahead and pop back up here. So like I said, whenever possible, you definitely want to do a search for the records before creating them. And that Find Duplicate button does work, but like I said, Salesforce search is pretty stringent, so you want to try to stay as general as possible. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Mass importing records. Here is where a lot of our customers, and even back when I worked at Salesforce, we would see a lot of duplicates being created, and it took a while to find out where they were coming from. What was happening is people would go to a trade show and they would come back and, hey, they've got this list, and they put it in. Well, because, 3 or 4 people went to that trade show, they all had that list, they didn't talk to each other when they got back. So they all put that list in. That makes things kind of ugly on the inside. So the first option, limit the ability to import records to just a few key people. That way they can stay in touch with each other and lists don't get duplicated. I've seen it way too often. You might think, oh, it'll never happen. I've seen it quite often. So that's the first thing. limit that ability. Maybe just allow, people can bring lists back. Give it to the system administrator so they know and they can run it. Use your Salesforce import wizards. They have some abilities to prevent duplicates. And with that, I actually do want to show you, because this is something that is actually quite helpful. If we go into Setup, actually you can do it right from the Accounts. And we come down here and import my organization's accounts and contacts. When you do run the import wizard, it's going to ask what you want to match the contact on, be it the Salesforce ID, which you probably don't have, the name, it's going to try on the match on the first and last name, or the email. It'll also try to match as best as it can on the account, and it will use either a Salesforce ID or the name and site if you're using the site field. That's actually the recommended way, and then it will actually update those records that it finds matches of instead of creating duplicates. So that's why you want to use the import wizards. That works the same for leads. You can do name and email. It also works for custom objects. So if you're importing custom objects, and we'll just pick my test object here, you get to prevent duplicates, and then you can pick like the object name. So say maybe you've got a custom object of surveys or something like that. You could use a name, you can use an internal ID or an external ID. And then you get to decide what you want to do with this. The data loader does not have that option. So by using the import wizards, you've got a better chance of preventing those duplicates. Now, one of the other things we're looking at here is using the upsert with the data loader. If you have an external field to use, that is very helpful when, say, you're moving from one database to another, or you have data that's coming from a website and has customer numbers or an account number that's unique to that record. You can use that record with a unique text field or a unique number field in Salesforce to automatically check against duplicates. It basically works like the Salesforce ID field or the ID itself, only this is a unique to another system, especially if you're maybe getting data from FTP sites off of web use or something like that. You have unique IDs. It's really helpful using the upsert function with the data loader, because it'll insert records that don't match, and if it finds a match with that external ID field, it just updates it. It does not create the new record. That's the only way to prevent records duplication with the data loader. Another option, exporting and using VLOOKUP to match records before uploading. It really doesn't take that much time, and that can be done with Professional Edition, even Group Edition, because you can export your reports, and then you can use use VLOOKUP to match email addresses, company names, whatever you like, from one to the other. And from there, you can, by going between the two, you can see if any duplicates show up before you upload. It may take, a half an hour for, 10,000 records or so, but it's a real good way to ensure that you don't have any duplicates in the system. And if you're using a smaller version of the system, say, like I said, Group or Professional Edition, then it's really helpful, and it's kind of a cheaper way of doing it than going with the third party, and that's the next option. Third-party import tools do have a lot more robust duplicate checking features. We will be covering those a little bit later. Any questions on the mass importing?
We have one question, which is, can you talk a little bit more about what VLOOKUP is?
VLOOKUP. So basically what VLOOKUP does, and you can actually Google that. It's a very handy tool. It takes basically you take an Excel table. So if you were to, for instance, your contacts, say, or your leads, let's go leads. You got a new list for a trade show, and so you want to import them, but you're not sure if you have duplicates. So what you would do is you would first run a report of all open leads and export it if you don't have access to the data loader. If you do, you can do the exact same thing with the data loader and export all open leads. Basically, you don't want your converted lead data, just your open leads. Or you may want to do the converted as well, just to make sure that you don't have one that's already been converted. But you would export those with, say, like the first name, last name, or full name, and email address, maybe company, maybe phone number. So you've got that sheet, and that's in columns with, along the top is first name, last name, email address, whatever. Well, so then you would have your new sheet from the trade show, and you would put a new column in there that maybe said Salesforce ID. So when you do your export, you would include the Salesforce ID from that record. So, your export would have the main information plus the Salesforce ID. The new sheet that you want to upload, put a column in with Salesforce ID in there, and then use the Excel function VLOOKUP, which then what it does is it asks what column you want to match on, or what field you want to match on. So I want to match on my email address. So I tell the VLOOKUP function to match on the email address in the new sheet, the sheet that's going to be uploaded. And then where do you want to find the match? That's the second part of the VLOOKUP, is where to find that match. Well, I want to find that match in my export file. So that's my other Excel sheet. And it asks what column that lives in. So you tell it where it lives, that the email addresses all live in column C of blah, blah, of the sheet that I just exported. And then it says, do you want, what column do you want to return when it finds it? So it's finding an email match in column C. I want it to return the ID in column D. So now when it finds that match for Bill Smith, email address billsmith@demo.com, it goes to it looks at that first field email, goes over to my other sheet, goes down that list, finds Bill Smith at demo.com, and returns the next column over, or whatever column you want, and returns that ID or whatever value. Maybe you want to return a company. You can return whatever column you want back, and it brings that value back. If it doesn't find a match, it returns N/A, non-applicable. And then you just run that for the whole sheet and let Excel do the work for you. It goes out, it checks, and it comes back. Any records that came back with an ID would obviously be already in the system. Any that didn't, you're pretty safe to upload. So did that answer your question for you, or are there any others?
Yeah, next question, George, is would the data loader be able to assist with upserting data that was exported from another CRM product? Correct,
yes. So generally, especially even if you wanted to link data, for example, you export data from Goldmine or Outlook, or well, Outlook wouldn't work that well, maybe Access. But you export and you have a linking ID. Generally, all databases will have what's called a primary key. Salesforce uses a Salesforce ID for that. Goldmine uses an associated to. So basically, that is your linking record. So what you would do is you would import, say you wanted to import your accounts and then your contacts. You would import the accounts, and those, when you're importing those accounts, you would also have, you would be importing that primary ID. So you would have to first create a unique external ID field in Salesforce, and I'm going to be covering that in a little bit here. Then you would update or upsert to that, or actually insert to that, because you're creating the top record of your import. Then you want to import, say, opportunities and contacts and activities and everything else associated to that. You can use, Salesforce asks for a standard ID field to link an opportunity to an account or a contact to an account. By using the upsert function, you can now use an external ID field. So you can now use that linking field that came from your original CRM system, and you don't need an ID. It will automatically find the ID in Salesforce and link your records properly. Any other questions?
Great. One more question is, what is merged when you merge duplicates? And when you do a merge, does it keep all of the history of the records that are merged, or is anything lost?
Very, very good question. Let's actually go into Salesforce to answer that. So let's go to my contacts here, and let's see if we have a couple of duplicates. Hopefully I do in here. I don't know if I actually created a couple of duplicates or not, but we can always pick two people from the same place. Why not? So we'll go to Doors Incorporated, and we have our contacts here. So say these are duplicates. Say these are both Bill Smith, and we want to merge them. When you're merging contacts, you have to merge them underneath the account record. When you're merging accounts, if we go to the Accounts tab, you actually merge accounts from the Accounts tab. The one drawback that Salesforce does have with merging accounts is you have to then search. So you have to, if you have IBM and International Business Machines and you want to merge them, it's not going to work. You actually have to rename one of the accounts so that they're both in the same have the same letters. So they're either International Business Machines, or you rename International Business Machines to IBM. Let me see if I have any duplicate accounts or something close I can show you here. See Alliance, we've only got one Acme. We got Fred Meyer. Excellent, that's perfect. So we go back to our accounts and we merge accounts. And one of these days I'll learn how to type. So there's my Fred Meyer. So I have two Fred Meyers here. So if I want to merge accounts, that's actually the best way to do it, is you start with accounts, merge those. That in turn brings all those contacts underneath that account. It also brings all the opportunities, all the cases, all the activities, everything else underneath it. So if we want to merge these two Fred Meyers, we'll click Next. What happens is then we get to pick our master record. The master record is very important. That holds fields that are invisible, not on the page layout, hidden fields, field level security, the system fields like when it was created, modified, all of this information. Here's your system information. All the last activity, all of that is kept on the master record. So in your question, if you would lose any data, it is possible. So if you pick the wrong master record that doesn't have the data in the, or doesn't have data in a hidden field, some field that you may not be able to access, or last activity type information that you cannot, that's system generated, you may not actually get it. So you want to make sure that you do have the right master record. That's why it gives you the date and time of last modified and last created. And you see I have, looks like these were actually done in an upload because they're exactly the same time. If one was created or modified differently, it would have a different date, so, or a different time. It would be 12:15 instead of 14. So from this, I can choose, I want to choose, say this one is my master. Then I want this name. So there's my account name. It'll only show the fields that differ. And so if it'll give you an option if there's a difference between them. It'll give you the option to pick. So like this one is Fred Meyer of Jewelers. This one is Fred Meyer. We want Fred Meyer. Are they apparel or are they retail? I think they're retail, so we'll leave it there. And so then I can pick any values I want. And we'll pick, I like the higher number, so we'll take that. Addresses are all real good. Now I click Merge. What's going to happen when I click Merge is then all the contacts associated to both of these are going to be moved under as one. All of the leads that are, not sorry, all the activities, all the opportunities, all the cases, any object related to both of these records are going to get compiled under the record that we picked as the master. Let's merge them. And we're actually deleting that other record. It is now in the recycle bin. So now we have our Fred Meyer stores. We don't have any contacts. We don't have anything under it. We have one asset, hardware. So that asset was brought over from either the existing or the new. So now when we want to, notice we kept our Fred Meyer, we kept our retail, and we kept our values here. So now when we want to merge contacts, if we go back to the contacts, and from the account, you have to merge contacts underneath. You can pick your contacts. Maybe you have 5 or 6. You're only allowed 3. And then you click Next. And it's the same type of process. We get to pick which one is the master, and we get to pick what type of information we want to keep, who the owner is, name, any other information that's different we can keep. So it works the same process as merging the accounts, but you want to merge the accounts first because then your contacts roll up underneath, and it's a lot easier to merge them that way. Leads are their own object, and when you have duplicate leads, you merge those directly just with leads themselves. So that's done on the lead tab. And from the lead tab, here's your same tool, is to, let's see, actually, yeah, the leads, to merge the leads is you run your search first, you find duplicates, and then you merge your leads after finding your duplicates. Did that answer your question? Are there any others? Darren, you still there?
Yeah, that was it. No more questions at this time.
All right. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here back to our PowerPoint. So, like I said, limit the ability to import the records, key people only. Use the import wizards. They have some abilities to prevent duplicates. If you have external IDs, use that upsert function. Export and use VLOOKUP. That's a nice, easy way to do it. Once you get really used to it, you'll find that it's a very quick process. Once you're used to creating those formulas, the first few times it'll take a little bit, but once you get used to creating those formulas, it's really very simple. Excel has a nice little wizard that walks you right through it. And then for more robust importing, third-party tools are available. All right, a simple duplicate blocking solution that you can create, or any administrator can create in Enterprise or Unlimited Editions only, because this does use workflow, which is not available in Professional or Group Edition. What you want to do is create a unique text field on the object, like our contacts, and then create a workflow rule with the proper criteria, set it to run every time the record is created or edited, create a field update that populates your unique field by concatenating 2 or more fields on the object that when combined would be unique, like last name and email address. Use a data loader to fire your workflow for all existing records, and you may get an error file, which you can then use to merge your existing duplicates. And then since this solution works at the system level, it works for all records of the object and is not limited by security settings. So let's kind of take a quick look at that. I'm not going to walk through creating the whole formula, but I will kind of show you, and then I'll show you exactly what happens. So in Setup, on our contact, we created a new field, and it was just called Contact Duplicate Test is what I called it. And what I did is made it so it was, it's a unique field, and do not allow duplicates, and I made it case insensitive. So capital A and lower a are the same. Doesn't matter, it's not like a Salesforce ID where a capital C is different than a lowercase c. It's not an external ID from another system. You can set those as unique IDs, but I don't recommend it. You're only allowed 3 of those per object, so I don't recommend using those external IDs unless you absolutely need to. So then, just a simple text field. That's all it is. Length 255, just a simple text field that's unique. That's all I did there. Then we went into workflow, and so we created a nice little workflow rule that is contact duplicate text. And basically what it's doing is I told it that if this contact duplicate text field that I created was blank, or if the email address on the contact has been changed, or if the last name on the contact has been changed, this rule is going to fire. And so what it's going to do, and I've actually have a blog on our webpage, which is, I'll show you here, I've actually got it up right here, that has step-by-step instructions for if you like this idea and want to give it to your administrator, or you are an administrator and want to put this into effect. So like I said, every time that a contact's, if a contact's duplicate test field, that one field that I created, if it's blank, or if an email gets changed or a last name gets changed, this rule is going to fire. What it's going to do is it's going to do a field update. It's going to populate my contact duplicate text field. What it's going to populate it with is last name, and then I use the concatenate symbol, a dash, and the email. So now, every time a record is edited that meets my criteria, that contact duplicate test field is going to get populated. Let's go take a look at that in action. And so on my contacts here, we've got my Johnny Bond, works for Hot Rod Lincoln, and there's my contact duplicate test field right there. You don't have to put it on the page layout if you don't want to. I did just for demonstration purposes. So there's his last name dash email. So if we want to create a new contact, and we'll just make it a standard contact, and then we'll go ahead, and the easy way here is, I love whoever invented copy and paste should get the Nobel Peace Prize. I love it, or at least some kind of recognition. We'll just do a copy paste here. And we'll give them the same company. And the email address. So this works both ways. It's my only, yep, that's it. No other required fields. We save. This works even if you're trying to upload records with the data loader, with any tool whatsoever, be it data loader, be it the import wizard, third-party tools, any way you try to create this record. If the concatenated field is not the same, or is the same on both records, Salesforce will not allow this record to be created. I can, as an administrator, I can go look at the actual record, and there it is. Or if you're not an administrator and you may not have sharing vision or sharing rules to actually view that record, the name will still show up, but when the user tries to click on that name, what happens is they'll get a white message that pops up and says that you do not have access, please see your administrator. So this works across all sharing rules, across any type of platform, be it any type of tool you use for uploading, any way a record can be created in Salesforce. Even web to lead, it won't allow it. So you don't have to use my example of last name, email. Maybe you have some other fields. But basically you want to, with this type of nice easy setup here, you want to be able to use something that's going to be unique when combined. So for a lead, it might be last name, company, email, or maybe last name, email may work for company or for the lead as well. For the account, you may want to use something like, maybe account name, site, and concatenate the name, the site, and possibly the billing city or the billing state. You can use any fields you like and just concatenate 1, 2, 3, 5, however many fields you want that you feel would make a duplicate or a duplicate if another one was created for that same record. One thing that helps is having fields required. So I made the email address required on all my contacts. That way it makes it easier so I can find the duplicate. This would also work if I had put in if the email address was not required and I didn't put one in, I would be able to save Johnny Bond and I would have my duplicate. But as soon as I put an email address in, it would then trip and not let me save any further. And so then it would notify me that I had a duplicate. So this is just a nice basic solution that I've actually used quite often in a number of different variances for a lot of different customers. And it just depends on your business process on how you would concatenate the values to create your own duplicate test field. Do we have any questions on this?
No questions.
All right, excellent. For those of you that would like to copy what I've created here, or maybe send it to your administrators to take a look at, you can go to our Starforce, starforce.com, and on our blog page, you will see our Preventing Salesforce Duplicates blog. And in that is the exact steps with screenshots and the formula I used, right on down to you could literally copy and paste this formula right into your instance. And then the same with the concatenate. There's the formula there. So it is on our Starforce blog page, Preventing Salesforce Duplicates. All right, let's go on here. And so, like I said, this solution works at the system level all the way around. It doesn't matter about sharing rules or anything else. It will always prevent a record if the concatenation creates a duplicate. Third-party App Exchange solutions. There are quite a few out there. If you go to the App Exchange and search for duplicates, you will return quite a good list. And on top is Ringlead. They are one of the most popular, multiple tools to address various duplicate issues. Existing duplicates, Salesforce gives you the ability to search for, the way of the Salesforce search, you saw that for accounts, contacts. You can only merge 3 records at a time. Ringlead gives you the ability to merge, I believe it's up to 1,000 records at a time. Granted, not all those 1,000 are going to be under the same object, or you're not going to merge all 1,000 into one. If you do, I'd hate to see your database. But with the Ringlead tool, yeah, you can it's kind of like the Salesforce merge tools on some serious steroids. It's very, very powerful. They have tools to prevent duplicates for being created by importing. In your leads, they have a list cloner, or declone. They have just an enormous, or actually I wouldn't say enormous, but a good selection of tools to meet your needs for different duplication issues. CRM Fusion, about the same. Got multiple tools as well. People Import, a dupe blocker. So they've got a bunch of tools as well that work. There's a host of paid applications out there, just a good chunk of paid applications out there that can do the job. There's some free ones out there. Force.com Labs has some free duplicate tools out there that you may want to look at. What I recommend is any App Exchange solution, do your research on it. Make sure it's going to meet your needs. Any good duplicate or any good App Exchange product is going to have a free trial period to be able to actually see if it's going to meet your needs. Be sure to use it during that trial period. A lot of people will try that, will try to grab it or go out and grab it, and then come back and not not try it. Put it in there and forget about it, and next thing they know, they're either getting rid of it or they don't know if they can use it or not. So definitely research it, try it, make sure that any application is going to work for you, not just duplicate applications, but any of them out there on the App Exchange. make sure it works for you. Like I said, the ring lead is a really good one. Definitely give it a look. They've got multiple solutions, CRM Fusion as well. You may try the free apps. The reviews on some of them not so great, but hey, they may meet your needs. All right. Any questions on the App Exchange?
No questions, George.
All right. Then basically we're coming up towards our end here. So what we've covered today: searching before creating, mass importing best practices, a simple duplicate blocking solution that any Salesforce administrator can create, and then utilizing the third-party applications to enhance your duplicate prevention efforts. And for those of you that would like to contact or engage with StarForce, you can sign up for a free Salesforce assessment on our website, info.starforce.com, Salesforce assessment. You can follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and read our blog, which I kind of showed you a little bit about there. All right, any final Q&A? Open to any Salesforce questions?
George, there was one question which I posted to the private chat for you to look at. It's quite involved. So why don't you take a quick look at that and see if you want to answer it on the webinar. If not, I'll let you know if anything else comes in the meantime.
All right, let me take a look here. Let's see. If you use the data loader and want to make an upsert on task, the tasks have to be associated to the related records, the what and the who, exactly. It is not possible to use an external ID instead of the what or who ID. As far as I can see, you first have to upsert all tasks and afterwards make an export, and then Excel update the what and who ID. Let's see. Possible with one single upsert. It doesn't actually work that way, and yeah, so one single upsert won't do it. Some objects in Salesforce have to be double updated. Another one is contracts. You cannot upsert active contracts. You can update them, you can put them in, but you cannot update or activate them in there. And the task object is really tricky on this type of thing. Yes, you for activities, you do have to export the actual IDs of the records that they're going to associate to. Some of the Salesforce objects are like that, and like I said, the task one is one. Content is another one. You can actually update or upload content into Salesforce with the data loader, mass upload content. You can also mass upload attachments with the data loader, but they do require the Salesforce ID. You cannot use an external ID. So there are certain fields, certain objects that will not allow an external ID. Is there anything else?
That was it, George. I wanted to just take the opportunity to mention that if anybody needs any help implementing any of the ideas or suggestions that you've mentioned today, if they do not have a system administrator who can provide them that assistance, then that is a service that StarForce can offer them. We have no other questions at this time, George.
All right. I guess we get to be done a little early then. I thank everybody for attending today. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that everyone has the ability or the ability to join our next webinars. We'll be sending out some information on those later. And like I said, I greatly appreciate coming to our webinar. Anything else, Darren?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us, and to mention again, we are recording the webinar. We will be emailing a link to everybody who participated today in the webinar so that they can have a copy of the webinar next week. And then we will be posting a copy of the webinar to our YouTube channel next month. If anybody would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, they should go to our website at starforce.com, 2 R's in STAR, and at the bottom right-hand corner of the website, you'll see a YouTube link. Just click on that link, and you'll be able to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which will contain future webinars as well as all of the webinars we've already recorded, and also some of our video blogs. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.